Hello, I'm Dr. Ron England, and I'm going to give you some help here with getting started on the website project. The first thing that we want to look at is why are you actually doing a website project? Because that's going to be very important to how you do this project. The real objective of the website project in COP4813 is to work with a client. Essentially, everything that you need to develop good websites, you're going to get through the class itself. We're going to go over all the different types of technologies, and you're going to have an opportunity to work with each of those technologies as you're going through. But one thing you don't get the ability to do through those projects is to work with a real live client. And the reality of it is when you're building websites or you're building web systems, it's that ability to interact with the client that really is important to what you're doing. Okay, so let's talk about this first from the concept of first contact. Now, the first thing is that you're more than welcome to go out and find clients to work with. I'm not going to let you work with them. You can put those clients into the client pool, and then other students within the class are more than willing to pick those up. But if it's a client that you went out and found, guess what? You're not going to get to do that one. I want you working with somebody who does not already know you real well, or is not a friend or family member or whatever. Okay. Still, I encourage you to go out and find clients because we need plenty of clients for all the students in the class to be able to do work with clients. But eventually, you're going to have a first contact with somebody that you really don't know that tremendously well, and that is important, and it's actually a crucial part of how you learn to do this. So when you meet with that client, you want to be professional, okay? And the basic first contact is introduce yourself. Tell them who you are, why you're doing this, and explain to them that this is a requirement for a class that you're taking. This is not a professional paid job. This is what you're doing. And set forth the expectations, basically saying, well, what do you really know about web programming? What do you expect to learn? And what do you think your capabilities are going to be to build something for them? You're not going to do large-scale software development for a client for this project. You're going to essentially build a website that is a nice, usable, maintainable thing for them. If their expectations are higher, it doesn't really matter that they have those high expectations. It's the expectations they have of what you're going to do, which are important. So you're going to be meeting with this client, and I would actually say that it's a good idea to set up right off that first contact, when can you meet? What are good times and how often do you need to do this? Because you're going to need to collect expectations and requirements. What is going to have to be on this website that you're building? And you need to be able to document these expectations, and it's going to require more than one meeting to get all these expectations and requirements from the client. And I really say that trying to do it all in one shot is not a good thing, simply because it's a lot. As you document and bring those documents back to the client, you're going to see that there are things that you just didn't get correct that first time. That's just fine. Okay, that's why you have those other meetings. So when you meet with a client, some things that you can do. Well, one of the things that you're going to be doing each time is documenting what the client wants and those requirements. The other things is demonstrate the capabilities of what you can actually do. And this may be demonstrating capabilities from sites that you've built, or simply sites that you can say, well, here's something that I think is really nice. I can do this, but it's not on my site. Is this something that would be useful to you? Know different websites that you can then take and do this with. The other thing is come to an agreement with the client. Get that handshake, or even the concept of signed specifications of what you're going to do. Okay, this documentation is going to be important to you. Okay, in a paid setting, it's extremely important. In a non-paid setting, it's still going to have a level of importance because it is setting forth those expectations of what you're going to do. Now, as you're building the site, you are going to want to have an ability to communicate with your client. You want to be able to get feedback, and you want to have a commitment from your client that they're going to review what they're doing and provide feedback. You should not be expected to build a site within a vacuum, getting some set of specifications and then going out and doing it all on your own and coming in at the very end and showing them what you've done. Okay? Regular communication with your client, whether it's email or phone, is important, and you need to establish this communication channels right off the bat when you're meeting with those clients in those first few meetings. Now, long term. Okay, long term, what I mean is after you finish this class, how are you going to plan for this site to be something that the client can use after you're done? Because I don't really think that any of you would want to or expect to have to work with your client 6 months from now after the class is over, or years from now after the class is over, but you still built something that they're going to use. And that's where you're going to have to get into that concept of content management and being able to train your client to be able to use the content management that you decide upon. I do very much recommend the concept of content management. You can just get a web publishing software, build the entire site to specifications, and throw that entire site up there for the client. That is probably not going to be a long-term good plan. Okay? So you should familiarize yourself with content management systems. We're not going to spend a tremendous amount of time in the class doing that, for the sheer reason is it's really not that hard to do. And a lot of you that are in the class are actually using content management systems and template-based content management systems right now anyway. So some ones to look at are like PBWorks, which I like to use a lot. By the way, that is the software that I use for managing the course content for my courses. Joomla and WordPress are also very good, easy to use, relatively straightforward content management systems that you can train people to use, and there's plenty of training materials out there. Those are by far not all the content management systems that are available, and you can go to Wikipedia and get plenty of information on what content management is, what it's capable of doing, because when I talk content management, we're talking about very simplistic content management, but this can get very complex very quickly. Now, make sure that your client is comfortable with the maintenance of the site. Also, what's really important is that that client has all the passwords, all the URLs, everything that they need to maintain that site, which means that you may need to create a small, simple, either little manual, but normally this can be done in one page of information sheet for the site itself. Okay, come up with what your agreement's going to be for this long-term site maintenance. The best site maintenance is one that removes you from the picture from here, unless your business model, and you're actually doing this for money, your business model is to handle long-term site maintenance. In that case, there you go. And we got a way to do that, and that might be a business model you want, but not necessarily for a class project. Now, realize that at the end of the semester, the client will have to fill out a site questionnaire. Basically, it's an evaluation of you and the job that you did as the person creating a website for them. And this will be used for your final grade. Remember what I said at the very first slide of this presentation. This is all about your ability to interact with a client. It is not about your ability to build things with technology. That is what the rest of the class is about. So this project is evaluated on your ability to interact with the client. And the questions that are going to be asked of the client are going to be questions specifically about that interaction. Did you come up with a long-term plan? Did you communicate effectively? Did you meet with them on a regular basis? And were those meetings effective? I'm evaluating on you for the project, and it's three project assignments on this, that ability to do the interaction part. So focus on that interaction part, and you'll have a very, very successful project. Hopefully this has been useful to you and will be very, very useful as you're working through the project itself. Thank you very much. Good programming.